Ukraine is not about Ukraine, it's about Germany. RonPaulInstitute.org has the article, which begins with an interesting quote, James. The primordial interest of the United States, over which for centuries we have fought wars, the First, the Second, and Cold Wars, has been the relationship between Germany and Russia, because united there, they're the only force that could threaten us, and to make sure that that doesn't happen. George Friedman, the CEO of essentially corporate intelligence outlet Stratfor, talking to the Chicago Council on Foreign Affairs. Mike Whitney writes, the Ukrainian crisis has nothing to do with Ukraine. It's about Germany, and in particular, a pipeline that connects Germany to Russia called Nord Stream 2. James, it sounds like it was some sort of new VPN they were pushing on people. Again, the language is easily confusing to people. Washington sees the Nord Stream 2 pipeline as a threat to its primacy in Europe and has tried to sabotage the project at every turn. Even so, Nord Stream is pushed ahead and is now fully operational and ready to go. Once German regulators provide the final certification, the gas deliveries will begin. German homeowners and businesses get a reliable source of clean and inexpensive energy, while Russia will see a significant boost to their gas revenues. Win-win for both. The U.S. foreign policy establishment is not happy about these developments. They don't want Germany to become more dependent on Russian gas because commerce builds trust, and trust leads to the expansion of trade. As relations grow warmer, more trade barriers lifted, regulations eased, travel and tourism increase, and a new security architecture evolves. In a world where Germany and Russia are friends and trading partners, there's no need for U.S. military bases, no need for expensive U.S.-made weapons and missile systems, and certainly no need for NATO. There's also no need to transact energy deals in the U.S. dollar. Transactions between business partners can be conducted in their own currencies. This is why the Biden administration opposes Nord Stream. It's not just a pipeline. It's a window into the future. Warmer relations between Germany and Russia signal an end to the unipolar world order the U.S. has overseen for the last 75 years. This is why Washington is determined to do everything it can to sabotage Nord Stream and keep Germany within its orbit. It's a matter of survival. That's where Ukraine comes into the picture. Ukraine is Washington's weapon of choice for torpedoing Nord Stream and putting a wedge between Germany and Russia. Washington needs to create the perception that Russia poses a security threat to Europe. They need to show that evil Putin is a bloodthirsty aggressor with a hair-trigger temper who can't be trusted. And to that end, the compliant media have obviously been given their assignment of reiterating again, over and over again, Russia's planning to invade the Ukraine. They've amassed a bajillion troops along the border, threatening to plunge all of Europe into another bloody war. Meanwhile, I guess everybody's like we're all in prison, James. Everybody's going to have to choose up sides. U.S. expert warns France and Germany will throw the Americans under the bus. U.S. President Joe Biden said after his meeting with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, because they're trying, of course, get the approval on this, that he will end the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline from Russia to Europe if Moscow sent troops to Ukraine. Quote, if Russia invades, there will no longer be a Nord Stream 2. We will bring an end to it, Biden said during a joint press conference with Scholz. When pressed, of course, for more details on just how exactly the U.S. can achieve this, Biden could only mutter, I promise you, we'll be able to do it.
Well, here we are, and wouldn't you know it, Biden, or at least his teleprompter, has made good on that promise. Yes, as we've already documented, Germany has stopped the approval process for Nord Stream 2. So at least as of this moment, it is not proceeding. So there you go, mission accomplished. And I think that does put it into perspective. What is happening in Ukraine right now, the big power politics play that is happening, at least from the U.S. perspective, is much more to do with, say, German-Russian relations and the bigger question of politics of Eurasia moving forward from here than it does for concern for the Ukrainian people. Oh, we have love for the Ukrainians in our heart, and that's why we're offering to extend all this aid and military support and what have you to you.
And stepped up like nobody. This has gone on for decades, by the way. This has gone on for many presidents, but no other president brought it up like I bring it up. And so something has to be done, and the Secretary General has been working on it very hard. This year, since our last meeting, commitments have been made for over $40 billion more money spent by other countries. So that's a step, but it's a very small step. It sounds like a lot of money, and it is. But it's a very small amount of money relative to what they owe and to what they should be paying. And it's an unfair burden on the United States. So we're here to talk about that, and I'm sure it will be resolved. I have great confidence in the Secretary General. He's worked very, very hard on this, and he knows it's a fact. But I have great confidence in him and his representatives. Would you like to say something?
First of all, it's great to see you again, Mr. President, and good to have you here for the summit. And we are going to discuss many important issues at the summit. Among them is defense spending. And I agree that we have to do more. I agree with you that we have to make sure that allies are investing more. The good news is that allies have started to invest more in defense. After years of cutting defense budgets, they have started to add billions to the defense budgets. And last year was the biggest increase in defense spending across Europe and Canada in a generation.
Why was that last year?
It's also because of your leadership, because your clear message. And
they won't write that.
No, I have said it before. But the thing is that it really has. Your message is having an impact, and we are going to build on that to make sure that we have further increases. You initiated last year that all allies are going to develop national plans on how to spend more on defense. And based on these national plans, we now estimate that European allies and Canada will add 266 extra US dollars for defense from now until billion US dollars until 2024. So this is really adding some extra money. It helps, and we are moving in the right direction, but we still have to do more, and that is what we're going to address at the summit later on today. Let me also add that strong NATO is good for Europe, but it's also good for the United States. The US military presence in Europe helps to protect Europe, but it also helps the United States project power to the Middle East, to Africa, and I think also that the military clout of Europe, the economic clout, the political clout, also is helpful dealing with Russia, and we look forward to the meeting we're going to have with President Putin, and I think that leaders are also looking forward to your thoughts about the meeting with President Putin later on.
Well, I have to say, I think it's very sad when Germany makes a massive oil and gas deal with Russia, where you're supposed to be guarding against Russia, and Germany goes out and pays billions and billions of dollars a year to Russia. So we're protecting Germany, we're protecting France, we're protecting all of these countries, and then numerous of the countries go out and make a pipeline deal with Russia, where they're paying billions of dollars into the coffers of Russia. So we're supposed to protect you against Russia, but they're paying billions of dollars to Russia, and I think that's very inappropriate. And the former chancellor of Germany is the head of the pipeline company that's supplying the gas. Ultimately, Germany will have almost 70% of their country controlled by Russia with natural gas. So you tell me, is that appropriate? I mean, I've been complaining about this from the time I got in. It should have never been allowed to have happened. But Germany is totally controlled by Russia, because they were getting from 60 to 70% of their energy from Russia and a new pipeline. And you tell me if that's appropriate, because I think it's not. And I think it's a very bad thing for NATO, and I don't think it should have happened. And I think we have to talk to Germany about it. On top of that, Germany is just paying a little bit over 1%, whereas the United States, in actual numbers, is paying 4.2% of a much larger GDP. So I think that's inappropriate also. You know, we're protecting Germany, we're protecting France, we're protecting everybody, and yet we're paying a lot of money to protect. Now, this has been going on for decades. This has been brought up by other presidents, but other presidents never did anything about it, because I don't think they understood it, or they just didn't want to get involved. But I have to bring it up because I think it's very unfair to our country. It's very unfair to our taxpayer. I think that these countries have to step it up, not over a 10-year period. They have to step it up immediately. Germany is a rich country. They talk about they're going to increase it a tiny bit by 2030. Well, they could increase it immediately tomorrow and have no problem. I don't think it's fair to the United States. So we're going to have to do something, because we're not going to put up with it. We can't put up with it. And it's inappropriate. So we have to talk about the billions and billions of dollars that's being paid to the country that we're supposed to be protecting you against. You know, everybody's talking about it all over the world. They'll say, well, wait a minute, we're supposed to be protecting you from Russia, but why are you paying billions of dollars to Russia for energy? Why are countries in NATO, namely Germany, having a large percentage of their energy needs paid, you know, to Russia and taken care of by Russia? Now, if you look at it, Germany is a captive of Russia because they supply. They got rid of their coal plants. They got rid of their nuclear. They're getting so much of the oil and gas from Russia. I think it's something that NATO has to look at. I think it's very inappropriate. You and I agree that it's inappropriate. I don't know what you can do about it now, but it certainly doesn't seem to make sense that they pay billions of dollars to Russia, and now we have to defend them against Russia.
You know, NATO is an alliance of 29 nations, and there are sometimes differences and different views and also some disagreements. And the gas pipeline from Russia to Germany is one issue where allies disagree. But the strength of NATO is that despite these differences, we have always been able to unite around our core task to protect and defend each other, because we understand that we are stronger together than apart. I think that 2 world wars and the Cold War taught us that we are stronger together than apart.
But how can you be together when a country is getting its energy from the person you want protection against or from the group that you want protection?
Because we understand that when we stand together, also when dealing with Russia, we are stronger. I think what we have seen is that...
No, you're just making Russia richer. Well, you're not dealing with Russia, you're making Russia richer.
Well, so I think that even during the Cold War, NATO allies were trading with Russia. Then there have been disagreements about what kind of trade arrangements we should go into.
I think trade is wonderful. I think energy is a whole different story. I think energy is a much different story than normal trade. And you have a country like Poland that won't accept the gas. You take a look at some of the countries, they won't accept it because they don't want to be captive to Russia. But Germany, as far as I'm concerned, is captive to Russia because it's getting so much of its energy from Russia. So we're supposed to protect Germany, but they're getting their energy from Russia. Explain that. And it can't be explained, you know that.
All right, thank you, press. Thank you. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
Would you now, with the whole world watching, tell President Putin, would you denounce what happened in 2016, and would you warn him to never do it again?
All I can do is ask the question. My people came to me, Dan Coates came to me, and some others. They said they think it's Russia. I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this. I don't see any reason why it would be. I will tell you that President Putin was extremely strong and powerful in his denial today. And what he did is an incredible offer. He offered to have the people working on the case come and work with their investigators with respect to the 12 people. I think that's an incredible offer. The probe is a disaster for our country. I think it's kept us apart. It's kept us separated. There was no collusion at all. Everybody knows it.
As to who is to be believed and to who is not to be believed, you can trust no one if you take this. Where did you get this idea that President Trump trusts me or I trust him? He defends the interest of the United States of America, and I do defend the interest of the Russian Federation. We should be guided by facts. Could you name a single fact that would definitively prove the collusion? This is utter nonsense.
What happened to the server? What happened to the servers of the Pakistani gentlemen that worked on the DNC? Where are those servers? They're missing. Where are they? What happened to Hillary Clinton's emails? 33,000 emails gone, just gone. I think in Russia they wouldn't be gone so easily. I think it's a disgrace.
Does the Russian government have any compromising material on President Trump or his family?
I called him a competitor, and a good competitor he is. And I think the word competitor is it's a compliment. I think that we will be competing when you talk about the pipeline. I'm not sure necessarily that it's in the best interests of Germany or not, but that was a decision that they made.
I believe that Russia is a democratic state, and I hope you're not denying this right to your own country. You're not denying that United States is a democracy. Do you believe United States is a democracy? And if so, if it is a democratic state, then the final conclusion in this kind of a dispute can only be delivered by a trial. Mr. President, I'll give this ball to you, and now the ball is in your court.
That's very nice. That will go to my son Barron. We have no question. In fact, Melania, here you go.